What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here of the Bottom Line View, here to rank every single NFL offense from the worst to the very best. That's 32 all the way to 1. Every single offense, your favorite team's offense, will be ranked in this video. In the comment section below, let me know if I got my list correct, if I got 1 or 2 placements off, or maybe I had your favorite team too low on the list. In part 1 of this series, I'm going to be breaking down the NFL offenses from 32 to 16. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, these are the offenses 32 to 16. There will be a part 2 with offenses 15 to 1. Thank you guys for watching. It's Mitch of TheBottomLineView. Enjoy the video. Starting off with the worst NFL offense going into the 2017 NFL season. It's gotta be the New York Jets, guys. I mean, especially with Quincy Enunwa, their number 1 receiver, going out with an injury, and I hope that he gets better. But their quarterback situation is in shambles. Their running back situation is the only situation where I say, hey, that would probably be a decent situation on another team. Like Powell and Forte. Pretty good situation there. Powell, I like him. A younger back with some, can make guys miss in the open field, catch the football, all that stuff. Forte, been a solid contributor and a great player for a lot of years in the NFL, but kind of been slowing down these last couple of years. Their offensive line, it's not good, it's not bad, I would say. They did lose their anchor in Nick Mangold in the offseason. Their tight end situation, they haven't really had a tight end in years. But this year, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, he has all the potential to become their number 1 target with what you look at is just no receivers. I mean, Robbie Anderson is your number 1 receiver? I feel bad for you Jets fans. And then you have to deal with the quarterback situation. You're going to have a 39-year-old McCown at quarterback, or you're going to have Bryce Petty, who only throws to Robbie Anderson, or you're going to have Christian Hackenberg. So pick your poison, Jets fans. Pick your poison, NFL, because this is going to be a field day for a lot of the NFL defenses this season against the Jets. At number 31, and it's actually quite a big gap from 32 to 31, to be quite honest with you. 31 is the LA Rams. The LA Rams are going to be a little bit better, I think, in terms of offense, because they brought in Sean McVay. They got rid of Jeff Fisher at the head coach position, and Sean McVay is an offensive mastermind. That's why he was brought in at such a young age to be a head coach. He's done a lot of great things on the offensive side of the football, most notably with the Washington Redskins in his time there. And you look at the Rams, they have some talent. They do have some talent. The keyword being some. Todd Gurley is there, and he had a huge year in his rookie year. In only like 10 games played, he was one of the best backs in the NFL. Last year, he couldn't get anything going. He was one of the least efficient running backs in the NFL. And a lot of people do blame that on the way that Jeff Fisher used him. This year, Sean McVay is looking at the Rams, and he's going to use Gurley in more situations. He's going to try and get him the ball in passing situations. He's still going to run the football with him, but he's going to move him around and use him in different ways and get creative with their offense. They do have playmakers when they get the ball in their hands, like Tavon Austin, who when he gets the ball in his hands, it's very difficult to stop him on a reverse, on a screen pass, or on a deep pass. Tavon Austin can make people miss and can run down the field and can score. That is another difference between them and the Jets. The quarterback situation is pretty similar, but Jared Goff does have more potential than any of the Jets quarterbacks probably combined. I'm not a huge Jared Goff guy. I don't think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback, but if anybody can get anything out of him, it's Sean McVay and this offense. And I think that Sean McVay will put an offense around this talent that best utilizes their skill sets, and that goes with Jared Goff as well. So I believe the Rams offense will be improved this year. They added Robert Woods. They added Andrew Whitworth at left tackle. So they added some talent. They got a new offensive coach, and I think that will improve their play overall, but they're still a terribly skilled offense. At number 30, I have the Cleveland Browns. The Browns, very much like the Rams, have a couple of pieces here and there. I think what separates the Browns from the Rams for me is I think the Browns have slightly more reliable talent. They also have a better offensive line. You look at the Browns and what they did in this offseason, and a lot of it had to do with, okay, let's build the offensive line. They noticed the trend across the NFL, the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Titans, teams that have been getting a lot better. Even some of the better teams last year, the Packers, the Falcons, all had really, really good offensive lines, and they were successful. So the Browns went out, they signed a couple good Pro Bowl level offensive linemen, and they brought them into their team. That was a great step into advancing their offense. They have Isaiah Crowell, who is already successful with a crappy team and a crappy offensive line, and I think he could be one of the breakout running backs this year. Duke Johnson is a good third down running back. They have some receivers that Corey Coleman has a big upside. I've seen some of the things that he did last year, and he was pretty effective when he did play. Kenny Britt is a former 1,000-yard receiver, so he can get it done. Their tight end position, they have a lot of potential there with Njoku. So they have some bright spots on their offense, their offensive line, some of their playmakers. But their quarterback position is what's keeping them back from being a little bit higher on this list. Their quarterback is unknown at this point. Is it going to be Osweiler? Is it going to be Kessler? Is it going to be Kaiser? Really don't know, and I don't think it really matters. I think to get the biggest upside out of their offense, it should be Kaiser. But it's always difficult to put a rookie there in his first season and just throw him out there. It seems like the Browns are going to have Osweiler start and just take another crack at him. But Osweiler does anything but get the maximum effort from an offense. So number 30 is the Cleveland Browns. At number 29, I have the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are a team that they have Jordan Howard and Cameron Meredith, and that's pretty much it. So they have a couple of young playmakers on their offense, but that's pretty much it. They also drafted a quarterback at Mitchell Trubisky, who has a really big upside. He seems to be a quarterback that has the athletic ability and has the tools to be a good NFL quarterback. Their offensive line isn't terrible, but it isn't good. Their tight end position is kind of on and off. Zach Miller had a couple good seasons here and there, but he always gets injured. They don't really have a lot of depth. Like their wide receiver position, honestly, like Kevin White is your second receiver, and he's never really even produced in the league. So the Chicago Bears, outside of Jordan Howard and Cameron Meredith, which are the two guys that basically give the advantage on the other three teams, I don't really see how the Bears are going to be an effective offense or team this season. At number 28, I have the Houston Texans. Now, this might seem a little low for the Houston Texans, but they still need to get over what was last year. DeAndre Hopkins didn't just have Brock Osweiler throwing to him. He just did not play well. He did not get enough separation, and he did not play like an elite receiver. At running back, Lamar Miller was really bad in terms of effectiveness. They gave him more carries. They gave him more opportunity than he had in Miami, and it didn't work out for him. He was the least effective back after first contact that there was in the NFL. The least effective back with the ball in his hands pretty much last season. So both of their star players didn't play well. One thing you could say about last season is their tight end position started to grow. CJ Fedorowicz was a reliable target for Brock Osweiler, mostly because Brock Osweiler wasn't willing to throw the ball down the field to DeAndre Hopkins or Will Fuller or any of those guys. He would settle for the check down, and CJ Fedorowicz kind of had a breakout season because of that. Their offensive line is iffy at best. Their quarterback position, if it's Deshaun Watson, I'd easily move them up on the list, but it appears to be Tom Savage. I'm hoping it's Deshaun Watson who starts week 1, and I'm assuming the week 1 rosters, of course, for every single one of these teams. So the Houston Texans with Tom Savage, to me, don't have a huge upside. If they put Deshaun Watson in there, then that opens up everything, because it opens up the run game with having a mobile quarterback in there. It opens up the pass game because I feel like Watson is a gifted athlete, a gifted thrower, and it opens up players like Hopkins and Hopefully Will Fuller comes back at some point in this season. I like some of the receivers they have. Jalen Strong has been on and off throughout his career, but a guy like Braxton Miller has shown some promise as a slot receiver. So the Texans have promise. It's that quarterback position. It's the offensive line. It's their star players not living up to their potential, which really has me right now. But the Texans could easily be higher on this list if Deshaun Watson was at quarterback. At number 27, I have the San Francisco 49ers. Now, this might seem high, and maybe a lot of people are going to yell at me for them being higher than the Texans. But the 49ers, what do they have? They have Kyle Shanahan. And that is pretty much enough to have them 5 spots higher than where they probably were last year, or like 3 spots higher, because Kyle Shanahan was the best offensive mind in the NFL last year, and I don't think anyone can doubt that. He set up the Atlanta Falcons with a franchise year, the best offense they've ever had, one of the best offenses in NFL history. And the 49ers now have brought in some players under John Lynch that I think can fit in the system. They brought in Kyle Juszczyk at fullback. That's going to be interesting for them. You saw how they used DeMarco and how Kyle Shanahan used DeMarco in his system as a fullback. They brought in Pierre Garçon, who is the big target from Washington. And when he was in Washington and Kyle Shanahan was in Washington at the same time, he led the NFL in receptions, so he knows how to utilize that guy. Jeremy Curley actually had a good season last year, and he'll be a good complementary piece there. They have a lot of guys who they kind of they pick and choose from the free agency that I felt like really fit in well. I'm a big fan of Carlos Hyde. He had a really good season last year, and I think he'll even have a better one with that zone blocking scheme this year. And at the quarterback position, Brian Hoyer is not that bad. He actually played really good with the Chicago Bears last year when given the opportunity. And the thing about him is he's willing to throw the ball. He's willing to throw the ball down the field. He's willing to make plays. And any quarterback that's willing to do that is going to score more points than a quarterback like a Brock Osweiler who's just going to sit back and take the easy, safe route. So at 27, I have the San Francisco 49ers. At number 26, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars, it's pretty much Blake Bortles. That's the reason why they're so low. The offensive line is not good. Albert did retire this season. They made that trade for Julius Thomas, so they lost kind of an asset at tight end, but he didn't really fit in their scheme. So now they're asking Mercedes Lewis to once again become a starting tight end. I don't know how that's going to work. Besides Allen Robinson at receiver, they do have some question marks. Allen Hurns had one really good season, but since then it's been very inconsistent. Marquise Lee, just a guy basically asked to catch the ball because there's no one else. Like, you have to differentiate actual talent from opportunity. Allen Robinson is their only real receiving threat. Running back, Leonard Fournette is there. Chris Ivory's a good backup. I like Leonard Fournette. I just don't know how effective he'll be as a rookie behind a bad offensive line with a poor quarterback. So at number 26, I have the Jaguars. They do have bits and pieces of talent like Fournette, like Allen Robinson, but Blake Bortles in an offensive line that's not very good is holding them back from being higher. At number 25, I have the Buffalo Bills. I'm a fan of Tyrod Taylor, and I always have been a fan of Tyrod Taylor. I think he gives something to every offense he'll play in his NFL career because of his ability to run the ball. He's one of the fastest quarterbacks in the NFL, and the Bills had the strongest rushing attack in the NFL. Now they lost some pieces. They lost Robert Woods, who I felt like was a complimentary receiver to Sammy Watkins. They lost Mike Gillislee at backup running back, who he was ultra effective in the run game. Their offensive line is still good. I like their offensive line. I think they will open up holes, especially in the run game, for a guy like LaShawn McCoy. Their pass game is very weak. Charles Clay at tight end isn't too bad, but besides Sammy Watkins, who do they really have to throw to? They signed Anquan Bolden. So at 25, I have Tyrod Taylor, LaShawn McCoy, the run game of the Bills. At number 24, I have the Baltimore Ravens. This is a team that was shaping up to have a very strong offense. They have Joe Flacco, who's kind of a proven commodity at quarterback. No, never been a guy that's put up huge statistics, but a proven commodity nonetheless. And they had a staple of running backs. They added Danny Woodhead, who's one of the best third down running backs and catching running backs in the NFL. Terrence West is going to be the lead back now that Kenneth Dixon has gone down. At the receiver position, they added Jeremy Maclin, which I thought was an awesome add. They also have Brashard Perryman, who's shown flashes of great ability. And they have Mike Wallace, So those are three receivers that can do damage, being more of the deep threats to this offense that really complement Joe Flacco well. And their tight end position is kind of up for grabs because Pitta had to retire because of all the stuff that happened in his health. A lot of guys are getting injured on this offense, but you have a few guys on the offensive line who can push the pile. Marshall Yonda is one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL. So the Ravens have pieces still, even with the injuries, and I think they have a solid receiver core. They have Joe Flacco. That's why they're at number 24. At number 23, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. This might seem a little low for you for the Chiefs, but honestly, the Chiefs don't have a lot going for them on the offensive side of the ball. They have Travis Kelce. They have Tyreek Hill, who has never really proven to be a number one receiver, but has all the talent and all the skills in the world. But with Alex Smith, you're capping all the potential that could possibly be had with this offense. Who's their number two receiver? Conley? I mean, it's not a great situation there. At running back, Ware, I've never been sold on him. I think he's overrated. He's a good pass catcher. He's a good, well-rounded back, but he's not a starter caliber in my opinion. Travis Kelce's great. He's one of the best tight ends in the league. Tyreek Hill can make plays. But besides that, I don't see the offense being very successful for Kansas City this year, especially with Alex Smith at quarterback. Now, if Patrick Mahomes were to be quarterback, that would change something because Patrick Mahomes is willing to throw the ball. And that could help the Kansas City Chiefs out for scoring points. But this season, fully expect Alex Smith to have his job and play the entire season. And that doesn't help the Chiefs' offense and help them score points. At number 22, I have the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are a team that have a lot of talent at the receiver position. They have one of the best duos in the NFL, as previously stated in my duos video. They have Emmanuel Sanders. They have Demaryius Thomas. But do they have anything else? Well, they improved their offensive line. They have Ronald Leary now. Now they have a quarterback situation where they don't know who's starting, and that's probably what's keeping me from having them higher on this list. I really like C.J. Anderson. I think he might have his best season of his career this year. Jamal Charles could give you something extra from the running back position, and I think they'll be a well-rounded, balanced offensive attack. But their quarterback position is what's holding them back. We don't know who the starter is, and after Trevor Siemian, I thought didn't have a terrible year, would be the starting quarterback again this year, they're really pushing for Paxton Lynch. And now Paxton Lynch might actually open up more of the offense due to the fact that he's a better thrower, he's more athletic, but Trevor Siemian is the better decision maker, and he can, kind of be that general better than a Paxton Lynch. So it's an interesting decision, and whatever happens, I think the Broncos are well placed here at 22. At number 21, I have the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings have better talent than last year. They added Latavius Murray at running back from the Oakland Raiders. They added Dalvin Cook as well from the draft. I think Dalvin Cook's going to take over the NFL. I think he might be the best rookie running back that comes out of this draft this season. Maybe not in the future, but this season I think he'll take advantage of that. At the quarterback position, Sam Bradford had one of his best seasons of his career, setting a record for efficiency and completion percentage. I really like their receivers, at least their first two, Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, both underrated in their own right. I think Diggs has the ability to become one of the best receivers, like one of the top 20 receivers in the game. Adam Thielen is a great complementary receiver and great possession guy, as well as the fact that Kyle Rudolph is one of the sneaky underrated tight ends in this NFL, and he's one of the best tight ends in the league. So this is an offense that I think can really work, and they have a well-sounded scheme. As long as their offensive line improves, which I think it has, they should be better and they should score more points in 2017. At number 20, I have the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are a team that, they've gone through the ringer in this offseason. Now their starting quarterback will be none other than Jay Cutler is going to be their starting quarterback. Ryan Tannehill is gone. Well, injured, I should say. They still have Jarvis Landry, who I think is arguably the best slot receiver in the league. Jay Ajayi is one of the best up-and-coming running backs in the league after breaking out last year. So they have a good run game. They're really trying to push that run game as a big part of their offense. They added Julius Thomas at tight end, which is an upgrade. They have Devontae Parker, who has all the tools in the world to become a good receiver. They have Kenny Stills, who had a sneaky season last year. And this is an offense with Adam Gase, who is a mastermind in his own right and doesn't get a lot of recognition for being a very good offensive coach. But the Dolphins will surprise people. Given that the talent is good but not spectacular, they'll probably score more points than people actually expect due to the fact that Adam Gase has a very good offensive scheme. At number 19, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, man, they're a team that they added a lot of pieces, so it's difficult to place them on the list this year because they added LeGarrette Blount. Will he be an upgrade over Ryan Matthews? That's yet to be, it's really unknown at this point, but he'll probably play more than Ryan Matthews. He'll be more available than Ryan Matthews, and he's more consistent than Ryan Matthews. LeGarrette Blount, I think, will also add kind of a toughness to their team, and just the way he runs is unlike any other runner in the NFL. At the receiver position, Alshon Jeffrey is a definite number one receiver in the NFL across the board, and he could add some big playability to this offense. I still like Jordan Matthews at the slot position. There's been some rumors that they might trade him, which is interesting, but I still like him at the slot position. I think he could be a complimentary too. At the other outside position, you have Torrey Smith, who they also added, and he could add some deep threat for the Eagles. The tight end position is solid. They have 3 good tight ends there. Offensive line is one of the most underrated in the league. It's all up to Carson Wentz. If Carson Wentz can develop and can take that next step, then the Eagles will be even higher on this list next year. But the Eagles are set up to be an effective offense this season under Doug Peterson and his Kansas City Andy Reid scheme. And number 18 is the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are a team that are based off of basically 2 to 3 players. It's David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald. Carson Palmer is a middle-of-the-road quarterback at this stage of his career, but I believe that with David Johnson, with Larry Fitzgerald, who he has an amazing connection with Larry Fitzgerald ever since getting there. Fitzgerald had some of his most successful seasons leading the NFL in receptions last year. David Johnson is probably going to go for 2,000 yards once again this year. He is a freaking animal. He's arguably the best running back in the NFL. Their offensive line is, it's okay. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's in the middle somewhere. Their tight end position has never been a huge part of their offense. But what I'm looking towards to see from this Cardinals offense is who can step up and who can be the number 2. Because if they can get John Brown to be the number 2 and to really break out like he did in 2015, this Cardinals team could be dangerous. I believe in John Brown. I think he has a lot of talent, but he's always sick with the sickle cell trait. If he can get back healthy, the Cardinals could have an effective offense in their hands in 2017. At number 17, I have the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are a team with a ton of question marks. Is Cam Newton going to be healthy? Is their offensive line going to be willing to and able to block Cam Newton in 2017? Can Christian McCaffrey really be that difference maker? Can Curtis Samuel make plays with his legs and his feet? Can Jonathan Stewart stay healthy? Can Kelvin Benjamin actually lose weight? There's a lot of question marks for the Carolina Panthers, but they have a lot of talent nonetheless, and a big, big upside. We saw the upside in 2015 when the Carolina Panthers had one of the best offenses in NFL history, with not a lot of talent, to be quite honest with you. I mean, Ted Ginn was ripping it up. They didn't have Kelvin Benjamin. In 2017, they arguably have more talent. But Cam Newton is injured. And Cam Newton, I don't know if he's going to be willing and ready to go. With Greg Olsen, he's still a reliable target, one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Christian McCaffrey, I'm a huge believer in. I think he could play running back, play receiver, and do it all well. Kelvin Benjamin is still a good red zone target, even with the weight gain. Hopefully he can lose some weight and become more of the go-to receiver for Cam. Number 2 receiver is kind of up in the air. Is it Samuel? He's been injured in training camp. Is it someone else? Don't really know, so that's a huge question mark. Jonathan Stewart can still run the ball, but it all relies on Cam Newton's health, and it all relies on the offensive line if they can block him. So that's why I have the Panthers sort of in the middle here at number 17. At number 16, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks actually have more talent than people seem to realize on the offensive side of the ball. They have, a top 20 receiver in the NFL in Doug Baldwin, and especially for fantasy purposes, he's probably in the top 10. At the tight end position, they have Jimmy Graham, who's a top 5 or 6 tight end in the NFL. They have Russell Wilson, who's a top top 5 or 6 quarterback. They have some running backs there. Eddie Lacy has had some good seasons in the past. Thomas Rawls has shown flashes. CJ Prosise, I'm a big believer in his multifaceted game. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. He can do it all. And I really believe in their playmakers. Now, it's their offensive line that really holds them back. They were awful last year. They were one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen. They couldn't block for crap. So if they can block a little bit better, I think that Russell Wilson and this offense can go to work. Now, the other question mark on this offense is who is the number 2 receiver? Who is the number 2 receiver? Is it Tyler Lockett? Is it Paul Richardson? That's yet to be determined, but I believe in the rest of the Seahawks. I think their ground game will be better with the complementary of backs. I think Russell Wilson will be healthier, which will help their offense become better in 2017. Hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of ranking the NFL offenses in 2017 from numbers 32 all the way to 16. It was a long one, but if you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, Gronk spike it, and subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL content. A lot more coming up. And if you're not already on the bandwagon, get on the bandwagon because the Bottom Line View is the place to be. Subscribe here for more NFL coverage all season long. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View. Peace out.